have been. I mean, I think that he is an example of his prosecution. The charges against him are one of the biggest attacks on freedom of the press that we've seen and freedom of speech.
And yeah, I think sometimes you need somebody to put the hammer down. I think Obama said this, and just say, I'm sorry, you can't expose our secret agents. And we have to think of our security first. Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm sure the government does some gnarly things, but I don't like this. I don't like a guy who pretends that he's the patriot when it's the spies out there who are protecting this country, not Julian Assange.
Bill Maher seems to be back to his old ways, where he brings on guests like Tulsi Gabbard and Chris Matthews onto his very own show, Real Time with Bill Maher, that know a whole lot more that Bill Maher likes to discuss than he does. And it's not a shortage of him getting destroyed on his own show, just like I said, like the good old days where Bill Maher would just bring on guests repeatedly on his podcast and on Real Time with Bill Maher and just get destroyed, you know? And he doesn't understand the situations as well as these people who are well educated and research these things and these logic and reaching, such as Tulsi Gabbard and Chris Matthews. And in this episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, here we go. It's the same thing. Him absolutely getting demolished is so bad that Tulsi Gabbard looks a little, squirmy, like starts squirming in her chair because this destruction is so bad. Let's check this out here, where Real Time Bill Maher getting destroyed. Let's check it out.
Right now, in fact.
Okay, now that WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, oh, good, let's get to this. What?
Oh, it's good.
Me too. Has pled guilty to espionage and secured his freedom. I didn't see this coming, by the way. I didn't think he'd ever get out. What will his legacy be? Yes.
Time served. Time served. He served 6 years, and that's what he's getting.
No, but they're talking about his legacy, and that's what I want to know. Is he a heroic crusader exposing government lies, or he is a reckless traitor who is endangering our freedom?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who you ask. I think that the more people have been, I mean, I think that he is an example of his prosecution. The charges against him are one of the biggest attacks on freedom of the press that we've seen and freedom of speech. So
it's based, and I agree, and I also think that a lot more people are saying, oh my God, democracy is under attack and stuff, and people are saying that obviously with Trump in office, and that's the tactic they're using to try their absolute best to get, Biden to, I don't know, have some sort of resurgence here and Kamala. But I think it's been happening for a long time here. And these are just starting to come to light here in 2025. Not the mainstream media just don't have a monopoly on the truth anymore and what people think. More people are, just discarding that mainstream media says, whether it's right-leaning Fox News or CNN, MSNBC, left-leaning. People are just discarding what they're saying. They're going to independent journalists and YouTubers, people like Russell Brand, Joe Rogan, more authentic news channels that are speaking the truth on big podcasts. They're just not getting their stuff from mainstream media. And not only things are in real time now, but, starting to look scary for democracy and people weaponizing the DOJ against the political opponents. Things we've talked about multiple times on this channel. But retroactively looking at these cases and saying, hold on, what happened with Julian Assange? What happened with Edward Snowden? Let's look at all these cases. And we're starting to realize this stuff's been going on for a long time. This weaponization of the DOJ, this, like Tulsi Gabbard just said, the fact that there is no freedom of the press, this has been going on for a long time. And thankfully, we're able to realize that now that we have all these independent journalists that are brave enough to actually speak their minds and find the truth of the matter and just collect a paycheck from the higher ups and just say, here's the truth, even though they know it's a lie. There's definitely still people out there doing that. Hell, Bill Maher might even be doing it. You know how he is. But at least there's people out there who are actually willing to forego that paycheck in order to get to the bottom of the truth. Like Candace Owens, for example.
Wow, I thought you would go the other way.
no, not at all.
I think Ellsberg looks good right now.
What?
Daniel Ellsberg looks very good right now, and what he did. And the Pentagon Papers was about how the Kennedy administration, the Johnson administration, not Nixon, what they did to lie about the war.
Well, I don't know all the particulars. I mean, you'd have to really spend months and months going through the amount of stuff he put out. But in general, I think the world's full of bad people. Like I was saying to Ray, the world's full of bad people. And yeah, I think sometimes you need somebody to put the hammer down. I think Obama said this, and just say, I'm sorry, you can't expose our secret agents. And we have to think of our security first. Yeah. I mean, yes, I'm sure the government does some gnarly things, but I don't like this. I don't like a guy who pretends that he's the patriot when it's the spies out there who are protecting this country, not Julian Assange. Because there are people who want to destroy this country. And there are people who are plotting to get nuclear weapons and all the rest of it.
Well, Bill, I know this is your big moment and everything, but you're just completely wrong here. A lot more people would have this opinion that Bill Maher is holding right now if the U.S. government didn't turn its own country against them. The decisions and the statements and everything that they have done for a while, but especially since 2020, has turned a lot of the population just completely against the government and changed our perspective on what to look at. Growing up, you're taught that America's the good guy. Every other country, when they win something, they write it in their favor. But America is unbiased in their history writing, and we've just always been the good guys. And that's why we should be able to go to any country we want and replace their government with a democracy, right? We're going in and saving them and taking out whatever government they have, whether it's won by terrorists or whatever. And we're going to enter democracy, plant an American flag there. And we've always taught that's a great thing. It's a great thing. And now everybody's starting to wake up. And because of independent journalists and things like that, and just decisions that the government's making and things they're doing directly in our face and letting us know that, they just don't care if we see it or not. And obviously with Trump in office, is a little bit less, but Bill Maher is saying that the spies out there are the real patriots and we're supposed to, I just can't agree right now. I can't agree with what he's saying. Yes, they are patriots. They're probably decent Americans that are spies working for the government that do great things for our country. But the government has done a lot of really bad things maybe before Trump. Everything was weaponized. Everybody was just trying to get reelected and doing anything they could to slander each other's names. Everything should be exposed, in my opinion. Everything about the U.S. government should be out of there, out in the open, outside of military motives and a couple other things, and maybe create a new aircraft or something crazy. Stealth bomber edition, whatever. Shouldn't necessarily be exposed by journalists. That should probably be kept under bay. But in terms of what Julian Assange did, I just have to disagree with Bill Maher here. And let me know in the comments. I'm sure a lot of you think I'm completely wrong, but let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
And this guy is not the one who made sure that we have not really been attacked since 9/11.
I go to Vietnam every year to teach for a couple weeks, and I got to tell you, the 5 o'clock Follies Hotel, the Rex Hotel, where they used to do the 5 o'clock briefing every afternoon about how many body count, how many we killed. It's all BS. That stuff was never true.
What stuff was never true?
The Vietnam War and the numbers of people we were killing and the way we were winning the war. And we're going to get there sooner or later because we're killing them all. No.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
It wasn't true.
Yeah.
But that's different. We attack them. This guy, he is exposing people who are protecting us. We are the ones who have been attacked.
Okay, I agree.
But what he exposed really is how our own government was violating our own civil liberties and trying to cover up things that were very embarrassing
to
our government. And I think that's the essence of the responsibility of a free press and why it's so important for our democracy.
Okay. One more. This is free.
I got to agree with Tulsi there. 100% I got to agree with Tulsi. Let me know in the comments if you agree or not. But they consistently, like I was saying, and I understand where Bill Maher is coming from here, but if you just look objectively, zoom out, and look at what the government has done, a lot of bad stuff. If they're going to foreign countries, spying on foreign people, that's fine. Let them spy. Maybe don't expose them. But if they're doing things within the U.S. they shouldn't be doing and journalists have that information, I think the journalists have a duty to expose that information. I think the U.S. government and the DOJ also have a duty to not punish that person, that journalist, for exposing that information. But anyway, this wasn't the only time that Tulsi Gabbard destroyed Bill Maher and Chris Matthews also schooled Bill Maher. It was also another moment that I played yesterday that I want to revisit, and because it was so glorious of Bill Maher getting destroyed on his own show, Real Time with Bill Maher.
But we're here with Chris Matthews and Tulsi Gabbard, and the first question is to you. Tulsi, should women be required to register for the military draft? I saw this. This is so interesting. The Democrats, so great at politics. I don't know why they brought it up now. I mean, men, I almost forgot this. Men do still have to register for the draft. Nobody gets...
Well, this is actually something that they also just changed in the legislation through the National Defense Authorization Act. Just a few weeks ago, is now men don't have to register because they're automatically registering them as soon as they turn 18.
Okay.
So you don't have to actually, you don't get to fill out a card or anything anymore.
But I remember I was about to be registered when I just turned 17 in 1973 when they were still drafting for Vietnam, and it was like that was the year. It was like, oh, we're not. Oh, it's like, oh boy, did I luck out on that one. But they still registered you. Now the Democrats in an election year have brought this up for I don't know what reason, saying now we want women to register because there's 250,000 women in the military right now, and if something was so catastrophic that we did have to draft people, why shouldn't women go? But why bring it up in an election year are my two questions.
Well, first of all, we shouldn't have a draft.
At all?
No, I don't think so.
What if it's an emergency?
Well, the fact that they're bringing this up now, to me, points to the fact that the only reason we would need a draft is because our warmongering politicians are starting wars that they know the American people aren't going to support. When you
and that ties back into what I was saying earlier. And of course, Bill Maher disagrees with that because Bill Maher still trusts the government. But most of us, or whoever's using logic and understands, you know, when Trump took office and how things are now, ever since 2020, especially, but even before that, they've been doing a lot of bad things to the point where our own citizens are turning against the government. And of course, it's just why they would use a draft to weaponize it. It wouldn't be because they absolutely need it for good reason, because our nation's under attack or something. It'd be because America inserted itself in another war, and now we need more people because our own military isn't willing to fight the war. So we're gonna have to go force people, just sheer numbers, like Russia's reportedly, you know, doing, and what Ukraine is doing, because they can't find people who want to fight the war, and they're just forcing people. They're forcing them to go fight all these wars, and it's the same thing that's gonna happen. But let me know what you think about Bill Maher, going on Real Time with Bill Maher, bringing on Tulsi Gabbard and Chris Matthews, and getting absolutely destroyed on his own show, Real Time with Bill Maher. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.